Number 9. Sophia Rosen. At a time when racial tensions in the US seem to reveal a disturbing lack of progress toward true equality in the decades since the civil rights movement, a University of Kentucky student allegedly took it upon herself to verbally assault a black desk clerk. In 2022, former business and management major Sophia Rosen was banned from the school's Lexington campus after she drunkenly stumbled into her dorm and hurled racial insults at 2 individuals. At least part of the incident was captured on camera. Front desk employee Kyla Spring came forward as one of the people Rosen harassed. Footage of the incident shows Rosen charging at Spring with a shopping cart, throwing several punches at her, and using the N-word over 200 times. Police arrested Rosen during the early morning hours. She was charged with public intoxication, assault, disorderly conduct, and assault on an officer. Rosen pleaded not guilty to the charges. In the meantime, a grand jury has started to deliberate on whether or not there's enough evidence to formally indict her. She has yet to publicly apologize for her behavior, and during one of the most recent sightings of her, she ducked beneath her jacket and ran for cover, apparently avoiding the media as much as possible. The young woman's attorney said that Rosen is enrolled in treatment and will apologize when the time is right, but for many, that apology is long overdue. Number 8. Borja Escalona. Spanish influencer Borja Escalona's reputation suffered from some serious self-inflicted damage in 2022 during a live stream at a fast food restaurant in the city of Vigo. Employees refused to give Escalona a discount or any free food, and his response was nothing short of cringeworthy. Before things went terribly awry, Escalona bragged to his 35,000 followers about how his fame enabled him to get free food at restaurants. Shortly before getting an empanada, he told staff members that he only eats free food. They warned him that the food wouldn't be free. Escalona sat down and ate the empanada anyway. When he got up to leave, a worker stopped him and told him he needed to pay for the food, which came to a grand total of a little over $2. He snidely replied that if he had to pay for the empanada, he would have to bill the restaurant for the promotion he gave them through his social media. The employee stood her ground and offered to let Escalona explain the problem to her boss. As the exchange started to become more heated, Escalona relented and paid for the empanada. He handed the money over with a stern warning to the employee that he would be sending an invoice for more than $2,600. The young woman began to worry about losing her job and was visibly distraught by the end of the video. She was probably relieved when the restaurant condemned Escalona's behavior and reassured the public that it was never involved in any promotional agreements with him. The company stood by the employee. Escalona posted a video apologizing for his actions, but by then the damage was done, especially when it became clear that this wasn't his first viral tantrum. In early 2021, he threw an electric razor at a woman and it hit her in the face. YouTube banned him over the incident, but he evaded the ban and continued to make content. He was banned again after his more recent outburst. Number 7. David Keith Blackwell. An incident that happened between a school bus aide and a student in York County, Virginia, has left many wondering whether the adult in the situation was the real brat. 70-year-old David Keith Blackwell was working as an assistant on the bus when a young man with special needs allegedly spat on him. In response, Blackwell sprayed the student in the face multiple times with cleaning solution. Footage of the interaction shows that the young man was trying to spit at Blackwell, but he was strapped into his seat and was several feet away, making it questionable as to whether his saliva traveled far enough to reach the aide. The video also raised concerns about whether Blackwell's reaction was appropriate or if he took it too far. Authorities certainly seem to think he overreacted. They charged him with 3 felony counts of malicious bodily injury by means of a caustic substance and 1 count of abuse and neglect. Blackwell also lost his job. Number 6. Airport upheaval. In a disturbing outburst that was captured on camera, a woman threw a colossal tantrum at the Mexico City International Airport in 2022 when she tried to check in for her flight using an expired passport. In keeping with the standard protocol, a check-in agent for the Emirates airline denied the customer entry into the waiting area. By then, she was already running late and was in a hurry. It's only natural that the woman was disappointed about not being able to get on her flight, but this is the point where most people would realize their own mistake and leave the airport. Instead, she reacted angrily and climbed over the check-in counter, determined to get on the plane. As you may already know, nobody gets away with that kind of behavior at an airport, which is why most people don't even try it. But the disgruntled customer only became more combative as the disagreement dragged on. Footage of the encounter shows her hitting and throwing things at the check-in agents, including computer equipment and various items from behind a briefcase. The woman then climbed on top of the check-in podium and began shouting at other travelers. An employee summoned security in the meantime. Needless to say, the unruly traveler was detained and most likely has more problems on her hands than she would have if she had simply cooperated with staff members. Number 5. Lily Rose Depp. Many Hollywood stars are notoriously difficult to work with, and some have such a bad reputation that they even have trouble landing gigs. In one of the latest celebrity tantrums to make news headlines, Johnny Depp's daughter, Lily Rose, allegedly threw a fit during a photo shoot in 2022. At the time, the 23-year-old was preparing for the upcoming HBO series The Idol, but the media seemed more focused on an anonymous submission to the celeb gossip site Demois, which described a blonde with a very despised dad who had a tantrum. While the post didn't mention Lily Rose by name, there was enough information in it for some Hollywood gossip enthusiasts to deduce that the poster was referencing the young woman. The post went on to say that the woman was very highly paid and the behavior isn't ideal. Furthermore, it alleged that she threw a shoe, stormed off the set, ruined 2 separate makeup stations, threw an iced coffee at a personal assistant, ripped holes in her dress because she disliked the color. The complaint came just months after Johnny Depp was entangled in a seemingly endless court battle that revealed many of the disturbingly toxic details of his marriage with actress Amber Heard. And while Depp received a lot of support through the trial, he didn't exactly need any bad press being brought to his last name. Someone shared the post on Reddit where users were quick, as always, to chime in with their 2 cents. Many wondered why anyone tolerated such awful behavior, while others questioned how a grown adult could act so embarrassingly and live with themselves. These are good questions, but it's still unclear whether the post was about Lily Rose Depp. Number 4. Mask mandate madness. During a visit to a European wax center in Honolulu, Hawaii in 2021, a man was disappointed to learn that the business was requiring customers to wear masks to prevent the spread of COVID-19. He went there to get his eyebrows waxed and erupted into an all-out rampage when an employee asked him to wear a nose and mouth covering. At the time, a state law requiring masks at indoor businesses had been lifted, but companies retained the right to require employees and customers to wear masks. The man refused to put a mask on and accused the company of discriminating against him. Footage of the hostile encounter shows the disgruntled customer throwing desk items, breaking a stamper that the employees used to validate parking, and throwing a card reader at a computer. He then stomped away. This was certainly not the first viral tirade over COVID mask requirements that made news headlines, but it was a first for assistant manager Casey Morichika, who told Hawaii News Now that she had never had a customer get violent over not wanting to wear a mask. The spa owner also spoke with the news outlet and made it clear that they planned on pressing charges against the explosive patron. They also made it clear that they plan to continue enforcing the mask mandate, regardless of whether people liked it or not, since the work that usually goes on at a waxing business requires unavoidably close contact between employees and customers. Number 3. Starbucks Karen. In this day and age, anyone who earns the label of Karen undoubtedly displayed some seriously cringeworthy behavior. A Starbucks customer who erupted into a tirade in early 2022 was certainly no exception. Viral TikTok footage posted by a user going by the name @TonyAgs showed a woman grabbing a container filled with quick-to-go snacks near the register and throwing it onto the floor. During the 23-second clip, she could also be seen pulling sandwiches out of a refrigerator and throwing them at a worker's feet. The influencer who recorded the footage could be heard telling the woman that she seriously needed to stop. At the end of the video, 2 employees followed her out of the store, most likely to ensure that she was actually leaving without plans to come back in. The narrator explained that she was irate because workers had previously asked her to leave the store. Around the same time the incident happened, a poll of food service workers revealed that nearly 40% of them were quitting over concerns related to customer hostilities. 80% of those polled reported experiencing harassment or unacceptable behavior regarding COVID restrictions, and while it's unclear what upset the so-called Starbucks Karen in the first place, her behavior certainly didn't do any favors for the nationwide restaurant worker shortage that still happens to be plaguing the country. Number 2. Michael Kals. In 2000, a 15-year-old high schooler from Quebec named Michael Kals, better known by his moniker Mafia Boy, gained infamy as a so-called bratty kid who brought down a handful of major websites including Amazon, eBay, eTrace, CNN, Dell, and Yahoo. At the time, Yahoo was the world's biggest search engine with an estimated value in the billions. The security breach, dubbed Project Revolta, only lasted about an hour, but Kals's nefarious online activities were so damaging he even managed to disrupt the stock exchange, sending e-commerce investors into a panic. Mafia Boy was no ordinary kid. As a self-taught hacker since the age of 9, he was more capable of breaking into secure systems than almost any adult. As part of Project Revolta, he overwhelmed servers with various types of communications, rendering them unresponsive to commands. Kals later said that his goal was to establish dominance for himself and his hacking group, known as TNT. He explained that he downloaded the software he needed to carry out the cyber attacks and simply left for school, unaware that the software would continue functioning throughout the day. When he arrived home from school, he discovered that his computer had crashed and he restarted it without realizing what had happened. According to Kals, he only realized he was responsible for the attack when he heard about it on the news and realized he had inputted the same exact websites into the software earlier that day. Accidental or not, the attacks certainly had quite an effect on the cyber world and its real-world stakeholders. Altogether, the amount of damages was estimated at anywhere between $7.5 million and $1.2 billion, depending on who you ask. The attacks also caught the attention of the FBI and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, who began keeping an eye on Mafia Boy's internet activities and eventually realized, much to their surprise, that he was just a kid. A really smart kid. Authorities charged Kals in connection with the incident. He initially denied responsibility, but later pleaded guilty to the charges. Kals eventually redeemed himself by putting his superb hacking skills to good use. He now works as a cybersecurity expert who helps to keep the internet safe from people like his younger self. Number 1. In-flight insubordination. British mother of 1, Catherine Bush, landed at the center of embarrassing news headlines in 2022 when she allegedly threw a tantrum during a flight from Manchester to Antalya, Turkey. She was on her way to the popular plastic surgery destination to get some cosmetic dental work done when the sound of crying children agitated her to a point where she lost her composure in mid-flight. The unbearably irritated single mom also accused people of looking at her funny. Witnesses later said that Bush became incredibly disruptive and even tried opening the plane's emergency door. Her behavior reportedly continued to escalate as she became increasingly aggressive toward employees and fellow travelers. Bush was accused of shouting in people's faces, challenging staff members, and even slapping other passengers. She became so out of control that the flight made an emergency landing in Vienna so authorities could remove her from the plane and arrest her. Airline spokesperson Phil Ward apologized to the people who were subjected to Bush's abuse and reassured the public that she was banned from flying with the company for life. He also announced plans to prosecute her to the fullest possible extent under the law. Bush apologized for her cringeworthy outburst and said that she was ashamed of herself. She admitted that she was extremely drunk at the time and claimed that she became intoxicated in an effort to relieve her anxiety because she didn't have her medication with her. Furthermore, Bush acknowledged that her mental issues were no excuse for her behavior, but said that she was simply trying to explain what was going on in her mind when the tantrum occurred. Unfortunately, the damage was done, and she was left with no choice but to face the court of public opinion as well as the court that ultimately decided to hold her responsible for the tirade. Thanks for watching. Would you rather someone secretly film you in your worst mood ever and post it online, or be on the receiving end of someone else's bratty behavior in a viral video? Tell us what would be worse in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you soon. Bye.